I'm going to begin by briefly introducing our two host interviewers and then our very special guest. And as I tell you, well, this is the format of Larry King. We don't have Larry King as the interviewer. First interviewer is Frieder Seible, the new dean of the Jacobs School of Engineering at UCSD. This is one of the top engineering schools in the United States. Frieder is the Eric and Johanna Reiser Professor of Applied Mechanics and Structural Engineering. Frieder also is a member of the National Academy of Engineering. He's a distinguished scholar as well as Dean of Engineering. Frieder will take the helm first. Then will come Dr. Ray Smilor. Ray is the president of the Beyster Institute, which is a freestanding institute committed to the principles of employee ownership, entrepreneurial spirit, and economic development. And it's headquartered here in San Diego. Ray formerly was vice president of the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation's Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership, and prior to that he was a colleague of mine at the University of Texas at Austin, where he was the executive director of the IC Square Institute. I had indicated that we really don't have Larry King, and we don't have an internationally known person to carry out the interviews. We've done better, because having Frieder from the Jacobs School and having Ray from the Beyster Institute, having the names Beyster and Jacobs here to lead this discussion with Ray Smilor, what a wonderful symbol for San Diego. They are really the pillars of high technology for this community. It's now my honor to introduce our special guest, Michael Dell. Under Michael's direction, Dell has established itself as the world premier computer systems and service company within approximately an 18-year period. You can read dozens of accolades given to Michael and to Dell for all of these accomplishments, but I want to focus on two things, one of which you won't read, the other you can read. In the mid-1980s, when Ray Smilor and I were both at the University of Texas, and I was the senior associate dean, Ray was a colleague. Ray came to me and said, I have a favor to ask. There's a student that really assembles PC clones, and he'd like to display a model on a card table out in the foyer of our business school. Our business school, by the way, had 12,000 students in it. It was a significant business school. He wanted to display his computer on a table in our foyer, and the name of the company at that time was PC Limited. So Ray asked a favor, and it seemed perfectly reasonable to me, except that universities were primarily Apple at the time, and these were clones, and IBM produced the other computer. And we did it. And this was my first experience with university bureaucracy. Because I was contacted by the university attorney to say that we weren't allowed to advertise private products on public land, despite the fact that this was an Apple school. Of course, Apple did this. And so it was our attempt. So that's the first point. PC Limited, a display in a foyer of a business school with a student assembling. Then May 5th of this year, the second point. This is the first quarter report for Dell, May 5th, 03. The earnings report, the revenue, $9.5 billion, up from $8 billion. Revenue up 18%, operating income up 37%, profits outside the Americas nearly doubles. Expect continued strong shipments, revenues, and earnings per share growth for the second quarter. Something happened in between. Ray and I take full credit for it. You have an opportunity this afternoon to interpolate what happened from the mid-'80s to today, and to get a sense of what might be happening or what should happen from 03 on. So, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Michael Dell and also Frieder Seible, who will be the host interviewer.
Well, Michael, it's a real pleasure to have you here at UCSD, and I want to welcome you to UCSD as Dean of the Jacob School of Engineering. It's a particularly great event for us in the Jacob School, since, well, we are the largest engineering school in the UC system with over 5,500 students. When you look at our electrical and computer engineering department and our computer science and engineering department, 2/3 of our student body is made up of computer engineers in one sense or another. And so we are really keen to, here today to ask you a few specific questions that our students can learn from you.
Great, it's great to be with you, and we love computer engineers, so that's
good. That's what I thought. So first of all, for Dell, your company, the customer first has been a real theme. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that really means to you?
Well, I think, you know, unfortunately, our industry kind of got started with the idea of inventing things, which is nothing wrong with that. But at some point, what's happened is you've got this evolution of standards, and the customer influence becomes very, very important. The customer's requirements becomes very, very important. So we really, instead of organizing our business solely around products or technology, products and technology are very, very important. But we've tried to understand what is the unique customer requirement and how is value derived, how is value delivered. So we've worked to kind of start from that point of the customer's demand signal and what their real requirement is, and work all the way back through, as opposed to starting with an invention and then going to look for somebody who needs the invention. So we try to combine the best of the material science world and the research world in terms of the technologies and how they're evolving with the purest understanding of the customer from a direct relationship, and then create the products and services that meet those needs and deliver them as efficiently as possible.
To me, it looks like that you're addressing, to a certain extent, a socio-technological problem here. Namely that with the fast developing technology, it's very hard for the average citizen to keep up with all these technological developments. And unless we provide this background and service to educate our population as a whole on all these new developments, we can only move a few of us ahead, keeping up with the technology, and leave the others in the dust, essentially. What do you specifically do in your company that this doesn't happen?
Well, technology evolution doesn't recognize whether a customer is ready or not. It doesn't recognize recessions or changes in the economic behavior. It kind of continues on. But again, our job is to understand the customer's problem, whether it's productivity or, in the case of the consumer, they want entertainment, they want it to be easy. And so we've worked to, we find, first of all, that you have very different requirements among different types of customers. So, for example, the way a higher educational institution, like UCSD will use computers is very, very different from the way a small business or a consumer would use them. Large businesses are very different from K through 12 institutions. And so by understanding those requirements and then anticipating future needs, and also trying to drive breakthroughs by using standards and effectively driving the cost down. If you look at what's occurred certainly in the PC and in the workstation and the server and the storage and networking, and it's going to happen in printing as well. There's lots of opportunity to make the products more affordable, which at the end of the day is a pretty important element of having them be broadly adopted.
Mm-hmm. UCSD clearly prides itself as being one of the top research universities in the country. What can a research university like UCSD contribute to a company like Dell?
Well, I think you contribute the molecular technologies which make up the the kind of future products that we and others deliver to our customers. There's kind of a problem right now that people are struggling with in the economy today in this country. They're kind of saying, well, where are all the new jobs going to come from? Has technology stopped evolving? Is it just about driving cost down? I don't believe so. I believe there will be new technologies, the kinds that you're working on here, whether it's in nanomachines or photonics or the combination of the biological sciences and the electrical computational sciences coming together. A lot of the innovations that are now going into the market, for example, high-performance computing clusters, those started in universities and are now finding their way into commercial applications in high volume. Wireless was first adopted and most strongly adopted in the educational institutions. So the research-based institutions have a very vital role to play in terms of catalyzing the future, the future economic development. And for a developed nation like the U.S., it's incredibly important because there are other countries that are sort of coming along that have large, capable workforces. We need that advanced technology in this country to maintain the kind of increases in standard of living that we've all been able to enjoy.
It used to be that a lot of our high-tech research was done in laboratories like AT&T labs, Bell labs, and so on. And we seem to be seeing a shift away from some of these laboratories back to the university. Do you see the same trend in your company?
Yes, I mean, I think you see it in universities. I think there are certainly entrepreneurial startups out there, many which have been catalyzed in and around university projects. I think we have to think about different ways of creating new technologies other than the kind of previous AT&T Labs model, which appears to be pretty outdated. And I think some of the commercial companies have had to make pretty radical adjustments to the type of research they've done just because of competitive pressures. I don't think those are going to change. But go back to something I said earlier, the rate of improvement in technology won't change either. And so, the opportunities will still be there.
Yeah. In this digitized world in which we're living, what are the next two major breakthroughs going to be?
Well, I think wireless is certainly you might say, well, that's already happened, but there's still so much yet to occur in wireless in terms of wide area Ethernet, 802.16, 802.20, those kinds of things where you've essentially untethered the user, and they can take their data with them anywhere they go. High bandwidth, 100 to 400 megabit per second kinds of performance. I think the scale out model in terms of the enterprise servers, whether it's for massive computational problems or for replacing some of the large monolithic 16 and 32, 64-way processor machines, the scale-out model has a long, long way to go. So this would be, 64-bit processors, clustered together as a tremendous compute engine that can solve, really tough problems. So seismic analysis, genomics research, crash testing simulation, aircraft engine development, big computational problems. And there's almost a democratization of that technology with the declining costs. So an individual researcher can put a cluster under his or her desk, of 8 servers, and start collecting data, and the cost of these things has come way down. And so you'll see those kinds of things go into individual PCs. You'll see much better 3D visualization on the computers. I think there's also a lot to be done in energy and environment in terms of more efficient materials and safer materials. Obviously taking lead out, but as we build 140, 150 million computers a year, well, at some point 150 million come out per year, and where do they all go, and how do we make sure that doesn't create a problem?
It's very interesting for me to hear that you're not just focusing on the technological aspects, but on the applications at the same time, which I personally was not expecting in your answer. Let's go back to the people.
That was more than 2 things, but
well, that's okay. Let's go back to the people side. In Dell, how many employees do you have right now?
We have about 40,000 people.
40,000, yeah.
Right.
What is it you're looking for in a good Dell employee?
Well, we look for someone who is results-oriented. They're a self-starter. They're responsible. They set high standards for themselves. They are collaborative. They like to win, and they're not likely to get complacent. And they respond well to ever-increasing challenges. And they also deal with ambiguity and change. We kind of tell people that are thinking about coming to work at Dell, if you want something that never changes, that's stable, don't come here, because you don't get that at our company. And oh, by the way, you probably don't get that in our industry. And I think more and more industries are finding that this turmoil and change is accelerating because of technology at its root. Now, if you can harness that and take advantage of it, it becomes a positive.
Do you think that we at the university level in our education programs can train people towards that model? You're really looking for flexibility, for innovation, for leadership skills. What can we do at the university levels really to train the people you're looking for?
Well, I think you can endow them with some wonderful skills. This might not be the politically correct thing to say, but you don't want to keep them for too long, because then I think they get a little too comfortable with that kind of environment, and they're learning is such a constant that goes on, and we put people in environments where they're given opportunities to learn and to grow and to excel. I know a number of university programs have been focused on, kind of teamwork and collaboration, because while in an educational environment, typically you are kind of on your own solving a problem. In a company like Dell, you're almost never on your own solving a problem. You're always kind of with a team, and you've got to convince the other folks to want to work with you, and there's a kind of collaboration element that is incredibly important to success, and not just inside the organization, but with customers and with partners. And
actually, we're working quite actively on this team approach. All of our engineering courses have senior design projects which are done as a team, not as individuals.
That's great. So I think that's there are very, very few assignments in our company where it's just you're all by yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Let's look 5 or 10 years ahead. So we're in 2003, 2008, 2013. Where's Dell going to be?
Well, I think instead of 3 gigahertz processors, we'll have 20 gigahertz or 30 gigahertz processors. That's pretty easy to predict. The improvements in semiconductors and Moore's law and those kinds of things. Our business is becoming more and more global. Less than 4% of the world's population lives in the United States, And so, as the price of these products comes down, we're very focused on markets like China and Japan and the large nations where you've got pretty developed economies. And after that, I think we've already got businesses today that are started in Brazil and in India and other countries that have great promise over the over a longer term horizon to become quite large economies. Services is a larger and larger portion of our business as customers look to us to offload things that they really don't want to do, so they'd rather do other things. We've got about a $4 billion services business. When you combine the consulting and professional services and the more traditional hardware-related services, and that's growing much faster than the product business for us. And I think if we look across the entire spectrum of the IT and communications and services world, we believe that technologies will continue to commoditize, and a company like ours that has the most efficient path to get those molecular ingredients, package them in products and services, deliver them to customers, it's a pretty enormous set of opportunities that we have. So we have to kind of approach them one at a time, not go after all of them, and we have more opportunities than we can deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have mentioned globalization of the economy and also the computer business. Do you see the developments, the rapid developments in China and also in Europe again as opportunities or competition for the U.S. industry?
Well, I think of it as opportunity. I mean, you'd have to, or else you'd only go to a sort of protectionist approach, which I don't believe will work. We view China as a tremendous resource for our company. Not only is it a great local market, so we have sales and service and factories and customers, and we're the largest non-Chinese computer company in China. We're the fastest growing computer company in China. We grew 67% there last quarter. But also China is a source of supply with suppliers in China. It's a source of talent. We have R&D in China. Not the most advanced R&D of all of our research around the world, but we have development in China in addition to Taiwan and India, and of course most of our R&D is in Austin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how
sun shines there.
Yeah, just like San Diego. How are the developments in Europe stacking up compared to what we are doing here in the U.S.?
Well, I have to say in Europe, I think the willingness to embrace change is not quite as high as it is in the U.S. In the U.S., there's a certain upset among society when the economy isn't growing so fast. And I hope I'm not offending you in saying this, but I think in Europe I find more satisfaction, or not satisfaction, but they're more accepting of things which are not so wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Now, look, I've noticed the same. That's one of the reasons why I'm here.
Okay, good. Well, that may be one of the reasons we're all here, because a few hundred years ago we weren't here, right? We all we kind of came from somewhere else.
Yeah. Just in some branches of engineering, it sometimes helps to have a German accent,
Sure.
So, Michael, really appreciate you coming to us today, and I thank you very much. Okay,
thank you.
Thank you. I'm Ray Smilor with the Beyster Institute. I had the good fortune to invite Michael to speak to my MBA classes when I used to teach at the University of Texas with Bob Sullivan years ago. And at that time, Michael was only doing about $100 million a year. He was 22, starting the company at 19. And he would talk to my MBA students who were in their late 20s and their early 30s, and he became a role model, as he is today. And I'd like to have this session with all of us participate and make it just like those MBA classes where people could fire questions and be interactive and ask whatever you like to ask. And there's microphones here, so I'd like some people, as you have a question, go to the microphone, don't be shy, give us your name. I would like you to make the question as concise as possible, because you only have a limited amount of time here. I'd like to get as many questions answered as we possibly can. And as while people flow to the microphone, I would like to ask a couple questions about company building, all right? From that initial PC that Bob talked about in the lobby of the business school there at Texas to Dell today, it all looks so easy in one sense on the outside. What was the darkest day, Michael? Was there one that was particularly bleak, challenging, difficult, when you weren't quite sure where you'd go or what you would do? What was that day like, and how did you get through it?
Well, we had a number of dark days and dark moments. You know, if you go back to 1989, the company had gone public about a year earlier, and we found ourselves in the midst of a series of crises. We had an inventory problem related to a transition in memory chips from, I believe it was from the 64K DRAM to the 256K DRAM. And it turns out there was a different pin construction, and we had an inventory problem there. And we had a technology project that we had put a lot of effort into that turned out to be overly ambitious, and it was sort of more than we could really deliver. And worse, when we went and talked to our customers, they kind of said, "Well, you know, this is wonderful stuff, but we don't really need all that." So, you know, we kind of learned the hard way by making mistakes. You know, I think you mentioned kind of company building. I think one of the most important things that you know, we learned is the value of people and growing a strong team, finding leaders who can develop other leaders. You know, not so much the structure of the organization, because I find you can structure any number of ways, but it's more having a great team of people that are all aligned around common goals and a common, you know, common objectives, having clear accountability and measurement and metrics, and you know, when you get everybody aligned, it's a beautiful thing.
What was the key thing you had to learn? I mean, one of the challenges to an entrepreneur is that they get kicked up or kicked out, that somebody who starts a company can't lead a big company. And yet we look at the Irwin Jacobs and the Bob Beysters and the Michael Dells, and we say, here's the person still leading the company. What is it about you or your style or your leadership that let you continue to lead the company? What do you think it was?
Well, I think, first of all, you realize that the worst thing you can do is try to do it all yourself. And so you surround yourself with very talented people that can help you grow and develop, whether it was, you know, Lee Walker or Mort Topfer or Kevin Rollins. You know, these kind of folks have been very critical in helping to grow the company and build the company. And it's kind of recognizing your weaknesses and being willing.
What are your weaknesses? Can you give us one or two?
I got a lot of them. I mean, you know,
I think this is a really critical point. To tolerate strength in others, you have to say, what is it I don't do quite well, and what is it I do really well?
I'm probably better at the you know, sort of strategy and where are we headed than the operational aspects. And so, you know, Kevin Rollins and I've been together now for about 10 years. He's a pretty good strategist himself, but you know, he does a fantastic job in sort of keeping the operations running very, very smoothly on a day-to-day basis. The other thing I found with Kevin is that, you know, he'll come up with an idea, or I'll come up with an idea, and we're usually only about 80% right. And we kind of have this arrangement, if you will, that we don't do something big unless we both agree. And what ends up happening is we end up with a much higher degree of precision in terms of our major strategic moves. And you know, it's all about kind of sharing and learning to appreciate the strengths of others, and also listening to your team. I mean, we have really smart team members that know a lot about what they're doing, and we do ourselves a disservice if we don't listen. If we don't listen.
Let's take the first question over here. Your name, please.
My name is Human Higigi. Pleasure to have you here, Mr. Dell. Question I have is, we both can agree that the IT industry is not what it used to be. And with everyone in the industry, such as Mike Capello, as president of Hewlett-Packard, and Ted Wade, CEO of Gateway, both of which they're both resorting to software, new devices, and they're praying that innovation will bring customers back. How is Dell able to still profit with the PC hardware sales, and what do you think this industry needs in order to get back on its feet?
So how is Dell staying profitable in the midst of this kind of competition?
Well, I have a simple law of economic redemption, which suggests that if you do something that is valuable, you should be able to earn a profit. And there are a lot of companies in our industry that don't do anything that's valuable. And value is relative, okay? The reason that our unit volumes grew 29% last quarter and the rest of the industry declined -1 is because we delivered more value to our customers, and so more customers chose us than our competitors. There's no real secret there, except maybe that we've been able to consistently do it, and how we've got there, and why haven't the competitors copied us, and those are all interesting questions. But we don't have some magic secret sauce or mind control techniques or something weird like that. It's all about.
I thought that was the secret.
It's all about delivering more value to customers, and I don't think you can necessarily innovate your way out of a structural cost problem. With new technology, unless the customer is really asking for that.
Okay, question this side. Yes, please. Your name and the question.
Thank you for mentioning value. My name is Portia Latouche, and I represent a software company. So my question has to do with value-add software that Dell uses that they package with your hardware products. And what is it important that you used value-added software solutions to increase sales of your hardware? And if it is valuable, what are a couple of key successes that you've had? What are some of the software products in the past that have really driven hardware sales? And then the third part of my question has to do with, what do you think should be developed as the next killer value-add app that you would like to see that you could add to your hardware?
So the issue is value-added software and the next killer app.
Well, we sell we'll sell about 26 or 27 million computers this year, so they get used across a huge variety of applications and uses, and we sell all kinds of software that goes with our products. Quite frankly, we don't try to come up with the answer to what's the one piece of software that every customer needs. So we just allow customers to get whatever they want, and we load a variety of operating systems, applications, and it's fundamentally based on what are customers asking us for, what are they demanding, what does it cost compared to what do they think it's worth, and it's pretty easy to get software for customers. So it's not as if we're limiting their ability to get at the software.
Yes, sir. A question over here.
Hi, I'm Neil Spears. Mr. Dell, what pearls of wisdom would you share with students who want to start their own businesses?
All right. As an entrepreneur, what are you going to advise them to do?
Get ready to fail and make a lot of mistakes, because that's the only way you're going to learn. A lot of businesses failed because they had too much capital, and they went off and spent it. The constraint of capital, as I learned, causes you to develop really, really efficient mechanisms and think very deeply about how to deliver tremendous value. I think you have to be willing to experiment and try things. And if you sort of wait around for the perfect plan or the perfect opportunity, that's
What
probably
would
not
you
going
do
to happen.
differently in Dell if you had to start over again as you look back? Did you do something differently?
Well, I only took macroeconomics. I probably could have used a few more courses in the finance area, in accounting, in the business school. Macroeconomics was the only one I took. I think we would have focused earlier on the aspects of growing and developing a strong team and kind of leadership development. And it's a big challenge because when you go from 300 million to 3 billion to 30 billion to 40 billion, and we hope to get to 60 billion and beyond. You outgrow a lot of things. Systems.
And you outgrow some of the people along the way.
You outgrow people. People get tired, or they get rich and they want to retire. And so it's all kinds of problems.
But you haven't
with
gotten
success. No, I'm still feeling pretty good. Yeah.
Yes, this question.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Dell. Welcome to UCSD. My name is Scott Freiberger. I'm a first-year student here at the Graduate School of International Relations and Pacific Studies. Welcome to our school. My question is, what is Dell's long-term strategy for growth in Asia, and how will you deal with competitors such as Legend Computers, who have a strong foothold in Asia and are planning on expanding overseas? Thank you.
Well, if you look at the last quarter, our growth in China was 67%. Legends was less than 10%. So we're growing quite nicely compared to Legend in China. Our cost structure now in China is very similar to theirs. So, they have aspirations to expand outside of China is really the right way to say it, because their business outside of China is not particularly big.
They're actually focusing on the U.S. market now.
Yeah, they've talked about that, but they talked about it a year or two ago. We'll see what they actually do. They have good low-cost manufacturing in China, and so do we. What they don't have is distribution, brand, customer relationships, and what can they do? Well, they can use traditional channels. They can try to build their own channel. It's a free country. Lots of different ways to go to market. I think they're certainly one of our emerging competitors. They'll be there, but they've got a little bit of a fight on their hands in their own country.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Michael. I was one of your fellow classmates at the University of Texas at Austin in one of those dorm rooms. And when I heard about your idea in '83 and '84, I remember that Apple and IBM were the main players in the industry. And one of the objectives I think that you had to overcome was the stigma that your company would be able to overcome the quality issues that are inherent with a startup, as opposed to a large company like Apple or IBM that has the R&D to overcome those issues. What were some of the keys to overcoming those quality issues in the beginning?
We had to convince the influencers and the hardcore users that we had great products. So we went after the high end. We went after winning product awards, PC Magazine Editor's Choice Awards. We hired an IBM fellow in 1988 to head up our research and development, who really put us on a path to developing great technology and research inside the company. And we didn't compromise in terms of developing great products. So when you put great products with a great distribution engine, you win. And I fundamentally believe that when you have a closed loop system, you can take this feedback from the customer and feed it back into manufacturing and into design, which our competitors really didn't have, because their feedback loop was kind of interrupted by the dealer. It gave us an enormous opportunity to do a much better job. At the same time, at least one of those competitors was really hindered with a proprietary model that left them with a much higher cost structure, and as a result, they weren't able to deliver the kind of value that most customers were looking for.
The direct from Dell distribution system is now famous, right? Was there a particular eureka moment when you realized this is a tremendous opportunity, nobody else is doing this? Or did it come over time?
We kind of did it every day, so it didn't seem like there was any one day. It was kind of, we just go to work and do our jobs, So.
And a little bit of making it up as you went along?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hi. That's kind of my question also. How did you know that this is what you wanted to do, that both industry and your role? How did you know that it was what you really wanted?
Well, when I was a freshman at the University of Texas, I saw this enormous opportunity. You know, computers cost about 6 times more than the parts inside them, and it took 1 year from the time technology was available to when you could actually buy it as a customer. And so, you know, I would open up these computers, and it was very frustrating to know that you know, it cost way more than it really should, and it was taking so long. So I thought, well, there had to be a better way to do this. I did not anticipate that the internet would come along and make it a whole lot easier to buy the products. I did believe that, you know, from 1984 to, let's say, 2000, that more and more people would know about computers and they'd be able to order them over the phone. But, you know, all the sort of advantages that we've been able to derive in terms of inventory and logistics and how it's scaled up into high-performance computers, and, you know, we've sort of figured those things out as we've gone along. We've also found that the fundamental premise that we have in terms of delivering great value, it's not a cultural phenomenon. It's an economic principle. And so it translates into Chinese, into Japanese. You know, our profits outside the U.S. last quarter doubled. Our growth in China, Japan, UK, France, Germany was 38% last quarter. So you have all the major industrialized nations of the world, you know, kind of embracing this in a big way.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Mr. Dell. My name is Brian Barton. I'm a member of Venture Forth, an entrepreneurial organization on campus. And I was going to ask you, which industry do you think, as a consumer, would best benefit from the Dell Direct model? Also, I was going to ask if you would sign my book, and and also, dude, do you need a new spokesman?
See, now I told you this would be like an MBA class, right? So which industry is going to benefit from the Dell Direct model?
Gift from the Friends of Pacific Beach Library.
Amazon.com doesn't come fast enough, so I had to go to the library.
All right, you're on your own with that one. You know, I mean, I think if you step back and think about the way our business system operates, essentially, there are a lot of businesses that have a lot of structures and a lot of costs because they're trying to anticipate future activities. Okay, so in other words, you go to a store and you look up and there's all this stuff there. Well, all the stuff is there because they've anticipated that you might go to that store and you might actually want to buy that particular item. Well, that's really hard to predict and to guess, particularly as you distribute it across a wide number of nodes and a huge variety of products. So essentially what we've gone from is imperfect information about demand to perfect information. And that takes out a tremendous amount of cost and time. So we don't have to guess what the customer is going to buy and build all those in advance and send them all out to the dealers and then sell the ones they didn't want to buy at lower prices. And, you know, it's kind of the example of the car. You go to the car lot and you say, I want a, you know, blue 2-door. Well, we don't have blue 2-doors. We have red 4-doors. I'll make you a really good deal on one. Okay, so you buy the red 4-door and the signal goes back to the manufacturer that the red 4-doors are selling really well. Let's build some more. It's a very inefficient system. So, you know, we've kind of taken all that out, and you know, when we sell about 100,000 or so computers a day, when those demand signals come into us, they go to our suppliers, and our suppliers. Every 2 hours, they deliver materials to us, and we build computers based on those orders and ship them out. So I think there's a lot of businesses that could benefit from that.
Yes, question over here.
Hi, Michael. I'm Wenbo Tan from Mechanical Engineering, and I'm from your great overseas market, China. It's my great pleasure to fire this question here, and I'm interested in starting my own business, and I'm really interested in your operational plan. I wonder, how did you approach to your suppliers in your early days, and how did they deal with you, and what's the operational strategy that allows you to have direct say on your suppliers right now?
So your relationship with suppliers, how did you first approach them and how did you build a relationship with them?
Well, you know, our industry was a lot smaller then, and so the suppliers would listen to lots of smaller companies. You know, first we had to work through distributors to get product, but then as our volumes grew, the manufacturers would start to talk to us. You know, they'd say, well, how many do you want to buy? And I'd say, 100,000, you know. How about 1 million? You know, let's get the volume price. You know, just figure out how we get the best price. I remember one time I went to Santa Clara and I camped out at Andy Grove's office for about 5 hours until he finally would see me, and we struck up a good friendship after that. So you just had to be persistent and get in front of the suppliers and now when you start to have real volumes, then they pay a lot more attention.
So get a sleeping bag and get ready to camp out if you need to.
I'll do that.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name's Paul Breed. My question has to do with how the market matures. Computers are becoming a commodity product, and you've put a lot of stress on low incremental cost of production and real cost efficiencies. But it strikes me that you're still growing, and there has to be some plan in the organization for growth. At some point in a commodity market like that, you'll hit a limit where it's just maintenance. When that happens, what do you see that keeps the major players like HP and Dell or somebody else from beating each other into the ground to maintain their organizational structure as a battle over market share, where basically you have overcapacity? How do you fight the overcapacity problem?
Well, some would argue we're already at that point in the industry evolution. There is already overcapacity, and there's overcapacity in manufacturing, in sales, in distribution, in service, and so you have product deflation, price erosion that's pretty severe. You have services deflation, and there's even talk of wage deflation, which is pretty scary thought for our industry. So I think that's already starting in our industry. It fundamentally comes back to how do you deliver more value than the next guy. I mean, one of the interesting things about when we enter a market, often the unit volumes go up in that market, and the capacity goes up in the market, and the total revenues of the market go down. The reason is the products cost a lot less. So when we entered the server market, the server market went from about 80 billion to 60 billion, but the capacity went way, way up. Well, that's a good thing for customers, and happens to be a good thing for us. It's not necessarily a good thing for competitors who are trying to protect proprietary models. But if we didn't do it, somebody else would. And it's just an inevitable, evolution of industries. So we look for new ones to commoditize where there are large profit pools and proprietary pricing. Printers is a good example.
Yes, sir. Question on this side.
Hi, Michael. Jim Madsen. Got to ask at least one wireless question when you're in San Diego. You mentioned one of the big trends is to see wide area Ethernet. Imagine if such a wireless pervasive network were available 12 months from now and it were affordable. What would that mean to the strategy of Dell, both your hardware and services?
So looking at wireless, what's the strategy as you go forward?
Well, we love wireless, whether it's WCDMA or GPRS or 802.11. We love them all. And in fact, our computers are built to take any one of them and multiple of them. So we don't really get religious when it comes to evangelizing a particular one. We hope there are more of them, and we hope they get faster, and we hope they're more reliable, because that's what our customers want. So those are all good things. And so I look forward to that. It's happened a little slower than we'd like on the wide area side. And there's nothing to prevent it. Our computers are ready, and I think more and more of the carriers and the technology companies that develop the kind of wide area cellular technologies are realizing that computing devices are likely to be the devices that use more of this bandwidth necessarily than telephones. You can't talk that much faster if you have 2 megabits per second.
Are there a couple of things you get religion about in the company that are really important, that are the heart of the culture? What would that be?
Well, we get real religion about how we add value and selling directly to customers, and we don't like to insert non-value add steps or partners. We get real religious about not wasting money for our customers. If we waste money, they have to pay more. But technology are to some extent interchangeable molecular ingredients that will come and go. And today we all know what those are, but 20 years from now there'll be new ones.
Question on this side.
Hi, my name is Kevin Jung. I'm also part of Venture Forth at UCSD, and we have a lot of people that come to talk to us about startups and entrepreneurship and things like that. And I was just wondering, how were you able to stay grounded throughout all of this? Because you started from your dorm room, and now this is like pretty much international. And how are you able to sort of go through transitions from startup to corporation?
You mean personally? Yeah, personally. How did you stay grounded? I mean, you're still a heck of a nice guy.
Well, I think you learn a lot of these things hopefully from your parents. I've got a great wife. I got 4 kids. I wanted to have a family, and I've got a family, and I work hard, but I also play hard, and I think it's important to have balance and not take yourself too seriously. I mean, I have near my desk in Austin, I have this Fortune magazine, and on the cover it says "The World's Greatest Entrepreneur," and it's Ken Olsen. And it's just a good reminder of kind of how the world really works. And it's important to remember that we go to work every day, and there's no guarantee that we're going to succeed, and we have to kind of do a better job all the time. And I feel very fortunate to have started this company, but now it's much bigger than any one person. It's much bigger than me or our senior team, and I think it's going to live on well beyond my time, which is great.
We can't take any more questions. I'm sorry, our time is running out here. I do want to ask one question and then wrap up. Okay. You talk about recruiting and retaining people. How do you use ownership in the company and people's access to ownership to make them feel part of Dell? What's your strategy and approach?
Well, it's changing a little bit because of the whole topic of expensing stock options, to be honest with you. But we have used ownership and will continue to use ownership. The whole idea of success sharing, because we think it's very, very important that our people are rewarded for their great efforts, and that they view it as their company. And certainly you can do that with equity and various forms of equity, whether it's employee stock purchase plans or stock options or those kinds of things. But we also have this real ethic inside the company of responsibility. In other words, if there's a problem, it's not enough to just kind of watch a problem happen. Everyone's responsible to go out and fix problems and to be involved in the solution. We have a process at Dell called business process improvement, kind of like Six Sigma, and we've got thousands and thousands of people involved in this. Last year we saved about $1.2 billion using BPI throughout the organization. And just about anyone in the company, when they see a problem, instead of complaining about it or pointing fingers, they can form a team and go fix it. And that's the kind of involvement and ownership that you love to see, because there's no way, you can't control a company like this from the center. It's too big, and you can't know everything there is to know about the company.
It seems fitting to end this conversation on this note of an ethic of responsibility. Please join me in thanking Michael Dell for a great conversation. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Enjoyed it with you.